last 2 years you have.
I want you to answer this question.
Sure.
Is this fair? Is this toll increase fair?
Fireworks on Capitol Hill as the Lautenberg-Christie feud spills over to D.C. as a Christie Port Authority appointee is grilled over toll hikes by the senator. Medical marijuana, despite delays in getting the law off the ground, there are new steps to begin growing the drug in the Garden State. The question is, when will patients be able to get it? And then, Newark's hero, a week after the heroic rescue of a woman from a burning building, buzz is still swirling around Mayor Cory Booker's bravery. Later, we'll hear from the woman who was saved in a My 9 exclusive interview. But first, to the Candidates Forum. The heat is on in a number of congressional primaries in the Garden State. One of them is in the race for the 10th District House seat. There are 4 major candidates in the hunt for the Democratic nomination. One of those candidates is Irvington Mayor Wayne Smith, and the mayor joins me now. Hello and welcome to the show.
Delighted to be here, Brenda.
First question, why was it important for you to enter the race?
Well, there are a couple of issues that are not bubbling on Capitol Hill, and one of them is an urban policy. Where do we take cities? The 10th Congressional District is primarily an urban district. And so having an urban policy, an urban agenda, something that creates jobs for the many people in the 10th Congressional District who are unemployed, like in the Federal Urban Enterprise Zone or the old Empowerment Zone, which worked for Harlem. We need to have those kinds of initiatives on Capitol Hill, and no one's discussing those things in the race for Congress except Mayor Smith.
You've got a lot of competition in this race. We're talking about Newark Council President Donald Payne Jr., talking about Councilman Ron Rice, State Senator Nia Gill. What are you going to do differently from all those other people who are very popular?
Well, absolutely, and I've had people who had more name recognition in the past when I've run for office and I've won. So at the end of the day, I think it's about your message and how you get out there to talk to the voters of the 10th Congressional District.
What about endorsements? I mean, we've seen some heavy ones here.
Well, I've had Maxine Waters come in when I ran for mayor. I had even my former Congressman Payne endorse my opponent before, and I still won. So those things are nice. The most important endorsement is the working people of the 10th Congressional District.
Are you going to talk about possibilities of maybe even a split party? We've seen it in the GOP race.
Well, listen, the Democratic Party's at a crossroads. You have the party bosses have gotten behind a room in Essex County and decided who would be their nominee. In Hudson County, they did the same thing. Union County did it right. They had an open primary. And in this competitive race, that would have been the ideal choice for the voters, and let the voters of the Democratic Party decide who would they want to represent them in Congress. So be that as it may, that's the case that we make. Don't let the party bosses decide who's going to represent you in Congress, but you have an opportunity now as Democratic voters to decide who you want to represent you in Congress.
Let's talk issues. The economy, job creation. Is the president doing it the right way?
Well, he's got a good start. Obviously, he doesn't have a cooperative Congress on the Hill. I think there's some other tools that he could use in his toolkit, like focusing in on urban centers, which is the future of America, the Federal Empowerment Zone or the Federal Urban Enterprise Zone, which really was a Republican initiative by Jack Kemp. Those things could help the 5th Congressional District in a big way by providing the kind of tax incentives to invest in Newark, to invest in Irvington, to invest in Jersey City. So we have to have a focused program that helps the 10th Congressional District. And I think on the Hill, I'll help the president get there.
What we're seeing in Washington now, is it the worst of Washington, or some real issues that are being brought out for the first time?
Well, I think we have an unrealistic Washington. Obviously, the Tea Party Republicans have an agenda that doesn't deal with the human needs of people, and we have to balance that out with an aggressive assault on their kind of program and bring some balance and sanity to Hill so we can save people. Some of these issues are critically important. The proposal that Congressman Ryan has done in the budget that would hurt senior citizens to pay more, all seniors pay more on Medicare, even though we need a solution to Medicare. I don't think that's the appropriate one. And I think at the end of the day, what the Congress is not doing is giving the president some room so his programs can take hold.
How would you instill bipartisanship?
Well, I think there are a couple of things. I call myself a progressive pragmatic. And so I think at the end of the day, you do have to have an economic focus for an urban district like the 10th Congressional District. And so I have been a delegate to the White House Conference on Small Business. I will be supporting initiatives that grow and bring small businesses to the 10th Congressional District. And I think there's some commonality that we can talk with. Eric Cantor has a bill that has some tax incentives. Now I have to look at that bill to see if it works for the 10th Congressional District. But I think there is some need for cooperation. You find those synergies. Mayors are good at that. We find out what the balanced position is that can help the most of our constituents, and we push that forward.
So if you had 10 seconds to sum it up, at the top of your list of things that need to be done, it would be?
Well, I think to stimulating the economy, creating jobs for the residents of the 10th Congressional District.
Thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Next, the Lautenberg-Christie feud takes over Capitol Hill, this time over toll hikes. We'll see how a Christie appointee and the senator traded jabs at a hearing in D.C. when New Jersey Now continues. Stay tuned.